Welcome to the kitchen. Today we're diving into one of my all-time favorite takeout classics, shrimp pad thai. It's a perfect balance of sweet, salty, tangy with that signature spicy kick. And it is not as hard to make at home as you think, so let's get started. First of all, I'm gonna work on the tofu part of this. What I like to do, one of the things that people struggle with a lot when they're making tofu and stir frying it is it sticks to the wok or sticks to the pan, so I'm gonna show you a trick to deal with that. We are gonna roast it ahead of time. So I've got the tofu cut into small pieces. This is a medium firm tofu, but you could use firm if you want. We're gonna drizzle a little bit of vegetable oil on it and sprinkle it with a little bit of salt. And then we're gonna use the edges of the parchment paper to, ooh, I almost put sugar on it. Don't wanna do that. We're gonna use the edges of the parchment paper to toss it up. So this right now, it's just kind of drizzled, so we need to coat it. So I like to use the edges of the parchment paper to do that. That way the tofu doesn't crumble up. So this is one of my favorite hacks, and I think it was a tip in our first season. I like to say in every episode, please remember that you can find all of the recipes on our website. Okay, we're gonna throw this into a 400-degree oven for about 8 to 10 minutes, and I'm gonna also wash my hands. Oh, the water. Okay, the next thing we have to do, when we're making pad thai, you wanna get every single ingredient ready to go before you turn on the pan. So I'm just gonna walk through every single ingredient and how to get it prepped. So one of the first things you need to deal with are the noodles. So you want to use this thin rice noodle, not the super tiny one, the vermicelli noodles that you use in spring rolls and stuff, the next size up, or you can use the slightly wider ones. The other thing that's really important is to prepare them properly. So a lot of recipes will tell you to boil them before you put them in your stir fry. You don't want to do that. You want to soak them in warm tap water for about 20 to 30 minutes. I already have some soaked over here. The important thing is you want them to still feel pretty firm. I always tell people that it should feel like an elastic band. They still need to cook when you do the actual stir fry pad thai. And if they are over soaked or pre-boiled, they're just gonna turn to mush, they're gonna stick in the pan, they're gonna break apart. So that's one of the biggest struggles is prepping the noodles properly. So just soak in warm tap water, that's it. So we've got those ready. The next thing I wanna talk about is the main ingredient in pad thai sauce. It's something called tamarind. This is the main ingredient in pad thai sauce, and it is essential to the authentic flavor. It looks like this when you take it out of the package. It kind of looks like baking days actually crammed together, but it is very tart and very fruity. It tastes a lot like sour cherries or pomegranates. And that's actually what I tell people. If you cannot find tamarind, then you can use unsweetened pomegranate juice as a substitute. I'm gonna show you how to use the tamarind because it ends up being kind of liquidy, similar to the pomegranate juice. So we'll move that aside. So we've got here 3 tablespoons of tamarind. And when you use this, we're gonna soak this in hot tap water or boiling water. But what you wanna do before that is actually break it into tiny little pieces so that it soaks up the liquid better. Okay, so you're gonna break it all up, and then you would pour 3/4 of a cup of water over it. And I have already also done that because it takes about 30 to 40 minutes. I'm just gonna move this aside. It takes about 30 to 40 minutes to soak up properly and be usable. So when you're using tamarind, as you can see here, it has all kinds of like seeds and strings in it. It's got a lot of fruit pulp as well. So we're trying to just get the fruit pulp. So by soaking it, it softens it, and then you can push it through a strainer. So that is my next step. So I've got a strainer right here, and I'm gonna grab a spoon. Okay, so what you wanna do is you wanna catch all this liquid, and then you're gonna start pressing the tamarind fruit through the strainer. But there's a trick to doing this, so let me just show you. I'm gonna press, press, press. We're trying to get it all through here. Obviously, the seeds and strings and membranes and stuff are gonna stay behind in the strainer. Okay, but then, this is the fun part. What happens is it doesn't actually fall through. It's highly viscous, as you can see, and it clings to the bottom of the sieve like that. So what you wanna do now is give it a shave, okay? You're gonna shave it and make sure you get it all into the bowl. I don't know why this is my favorite part. Maybe because I don't have a beard, I don't know. Okay, I'm just gonna press it again to get that last little bit out, and then we're ready to build our sauce. So I promise you this is probably the most complicated part about making pad thai. Once you've done it a few times, it's actually very easy to do this. And you can pre-do a whole block of tamarind and then just keep it in the freezer in 3/4 cup portions. Or, like I said, you could replace this whole thing with 3/4 cup of pomegranate juice. It has an almost identical flavor. The only difference with pomegranate juice is then your pad thai will be very pink. So this stuff here we don't keep. We just keep the liquid and the pulp, okay? So what you're trying to do now is you're just gonna mix that to kind of dissolve all the pulp into the liquid, and you have a slurry of tamarind juice, basically. Now we're gonna use this to build our sauce. So the sauce after this is done, dead easy. So you start with 3 tablespoons of sugar. I'm using a mix of the golden yellow sugar and white sugar to mimic palm sugar, which is the sugar they use in Thailand, but because you have to go to a specialty store to get that, you can just use, you know, white and brown sugar mixed together to kind of replicate the flavors. So 3 tablespoons. Then we're gonna do 1 tablespoon of rice wine vinegar. Make sure you get the unseasoned kind. Then we're gonna do 4 tablespoons of fish sauce. Okay, this is critical. Can't make pad thai without fish sauce. Then I'm using a tablespoon of chili paste. I'm using sambal olek, which is like a really fresh tasting chili paste. Now, typically in Thailand, they actually put the chilies on the side, like chopped fresh chilies, and you sprinkle it on. I like to mix it in the dish because then it blends more evenly and you're not biting into like a piece of chili. But if you would rather put it on the side, you totally can. And then 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. Okay, so then you have your pad thai sauce now. So as you see, it was pretty easy once I made the tamarind. Okay, so we have our pad thai sauce done. So let's talk about some of the other ingredients that are gonna go in it. We have our noodles, we have our tofu, we have got our pad thai sauce, eggs. So this is one thing I love about pad thai is it uses almost every type of protein. It has nuts, it has eggs, it has tofu, and it has some kind of meat or seafood. So eggs, we'll beat those up a little bit later. You wanna make sure that you have some chopped peanuts ready to go, 1/2 cup. Here, this is another ingredient that if you can find the specialty one, it's really good. This is just green onions. I'm just using the green part of the green onion here like this. But what you really want to do, and you can actually find this at a lot of grocery stores, including Country Grocer, is Chinese chives. That's what's actually used in pad thai. And that's why I'm only using the green part, is to replicate the Chinese chives. So I use about the tops of about 5 to 6 green onions, or you would use about 10 of the Chinese chives to kind of make the same amount. Okay, so those are chopped up. Some of them will be for garnish, some will go in. And then the next thing that we need is a shallot. So shallot is the main cooking onion in Southeast Asia. This is actually a good way to test if the Thai recipe you're looking at on the internet is good, is if it calls for shallots or green onions or chives rather than onions, unless the onion is a vegetable. Anyhow, not an aromatic. But I've minced this up, a whole large shallot, so it's about 4 to 5 tablespoons with 4 cloves of garlic. The other thing I want to talk about is bean sprouts. So bean sprouts, I always buy them and I soak them in ice water for about 1/2 hour until the ice melts. It makes them really nice and crispy, and then they last a lot longer that way. Drain them obviously afterwards. And then a couple other things. I have obviously some chopped cilantro. We're gonna do some lime wedges to go on at the end. And then finally, I'm not gonna put these in today. These are 2 specialty items that are actually critical to an authentic pad thai. I just wanted to give a shout out to them. Here's some pickled turnip or radish and some dried shrimp. So if you can, get to a specialty market to get these. I will include the amounts in the recipe online. Otherwise, you can just leave them out. All right, I'm gonna check on my tofu. It should be ready by now. It's just very lightly golden brown, not overcooked. It's gonna get cooked a second time in the stir fry. When we're back in the kitchen, we're gonna pull the shrimp out of the fridge and get it cooked and pull this whole pad thai together, but stick around because next, we're on the road.
Cooking on the Coast is brought to you by Country Grocer, with 11 convenient locations across Vancouver Island and Salt Spring.
Cooking on the Road is brought to you by Whisk Victoria, the small but mighty kitchen gadget store for every home chef.
I'm at Sieffert Farm with Alicia, who is the 3rd generation to operate this farm, with her father, Bob, still. And we're in one of the tomato greenhouses.
We are, yeah. One of 10 of them.
One of 10 tomato greenhouses.
10 tomato greenhouses.
Okay. You have some cucumber ones too, right?
We've got 5 cucumber houses,
Yeah.
and we do staggered planting so that we continue our supply from May all the way through to in November when our market closes. We grow all our own transplants just so that we can keep track of varieties, find what we like, find what's best suited to our climate, and adjust each year based on what we learn.
Okay, I love it.
One of the fun things about farming as a family is that we like to talk about varieties and maybe try new things, and not everyone agrees. So when I was a late teenager, probably 16, 17, I found purple cauliflower in the seed catalog.
Yeah.
And I said to my dad, please, we gotta grow them. And he wasn't so sure. And he said, maybe another year. And I went, if I buy the first 25 seeds, I plant them, and if I can sell them at the market, you have to grow it next year. Well, they sold like hotcakes. So he was forced to grow more the next year.
Yeah.
And the color still kind of weirds him out, but
So now you still have them now?
we still grow them now,
Oh.
and we now also grow orange and green cauliflower, and we're trying purple broccoli for the first time this year.
I love, that's actually such a great story. Way to get you invested in farming. I'm here with Finn, and he is going to show me the ropes of how to harvest some lettuce. Thanks, Finn.
Yeah, so first we're gonna get a knife and then just try not to stab yourself.
I will try not to stab myself.
We'll bring it down and then we're gonna do it just at the roots.
Oh,
And then we're gonna try and pick up and clean up all the leaves from the bottom.
oh, this is harder than it looks. Okay. Ooh.
Then we do 9 to a bin for romaine.
Okay, how'd I do?
I think you did good.
Okay.
I give you an A+.
A+,
Yeah, there you
yes.
go. You're doing great, yeah.
And so 9 to the bin?
Yeah, 9 to a bin. So
God, it's hard to imagine you can fit 9 of these big
Yeah.
beauties in here. Oh, it's beautiful. 9 bin.
yeah, there you go.
Thanks, Finn.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm with Bob Sieffert, owner of this farm, co-owner of this farm, and where are we, Bob?
In a potato field on Knight Road.
In a potatoes field. I love it. So tell me a bit about the market. Is it open year round?
No, it's generally from late May until November 10th. It was opened in that location 50 years ago this year. It's a wide variety of produce. Interesting the way it has grown and changed over the years.
Yeah.
With different products coming along.
Yeah.
There's great local support, and people really want to support local agriculture and local businesses in general.
Your farm is so beautiful. Thanks for giving us a tour.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Alicia. It was so great. This is a beautiful farm, and I love your market.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining us today. It's been fun having you here with us.
Yeah, my pleasure, and I am about to go shopping.
Fantastic. Let's do it.
If you guys are in the area, come check out the farm stand, or you can look for these Vancouver Island products in your local grocery store. Welcome back to the kitchen. Now it is time to bring it home with our shrimp pad thai. We are gonna work on all the next steps we need to bring this dish together. So I've got my eggs beaten right here. I have some raw shrimp right here. So these two things need to be gently cooked before we get into the main event. I have a pan heating up here, getting it ready for our eggs. It's really important for eggs for the pan to be really quite hot, actually, otherwise it sticks. Okay, I've got this pan really nice and hot. And I've put a bit of oil in there. Okay, and we're gonna throw those eggs in there. Okay, we're gonna very gently scramble these. See how it doesn't stick because the pan's hot? You only wanna cook these about halfway. They will continue cooking as they sit there, and they will also cook again in the pad thai. So you want them to be almost on the sloppy side. I always do that in a separate pan just in case it does stick, because then you don't have to clean it out between that and the next step. So now, I just want to talk quickly about why I'm not using a wok. A wok is designed to go into a flame, into a fire, for the whole sides and outsides to be heated up. Most woks for electric stoves are kind of small bottomed, and they don't heat up enough to really give you that sear that you want. So I always use a nice big heavy 12-inch skillet, essential tool in my kitchen. So I want to get that really nice and hot, and the first thing I'm going to do is cook this shrimp. So I've heated up my big heavy pan here, and I'm going to put a little bit of oil in there. Not too much, because we're going to need to add oil again. We'll just make sure it swirls to coat the whole bottom. And then we're going to add our shrimp. This is about half a pound of shrimp. They don't need to be seasoned, okay? And we want to cook them, again, like the eggs, we want to cook them about halfway because we're going to cook them again when we put them in the pad thai. But if you put them in raw, first of all, they won't get this nice sear. And second of all, they won't cook through. So it's always a balance with these kind of noodle dishes. So the other thing that's nice about this is you get to flavor the pan with the shrimp juices here, and it just makes the pad thai extra delicious. This is looking pretty good. They're nicely seared. They're not overcooked yet. Okay, so let's dump them into this nice clean bowl. Okay, now don't worry about that part. It's gonna taste really good in the pad thai. I'm gonna get my platter out before I finish the rest of this. There we go. You always wanna have that absolutely ready to go or you're gonna run out of time when it's all finished. Okay, so we're gonna throw in a whole bunch of oil into here. First thing is we're doing our garlic and shallots. So we just saute this for about a minute. You wanna make sure not to burn it. And I still have my pan on high or medium high. Okay, now if you were gonna use the dried shrimp and salted radish, now would be the time to use it along with these noodles. You pretty much immediately wanna switch to tongs or 2 spoons. Then we're gonna add our pad thai sauce. I also have some water on standby in case I need it. Okay. There we go. So you want to keep this on pretty high because we're looking to get a nice sear. So this is another secret here that I tell people. If you've ever been to Thailand, you'll notice that the experts there will actually pan sear the noodles first. I find that most home cooks here, they just don't have the seasoned skillet, the high heat, the expertise to make that happen, and the noodles often stick or break. So I just get people to cook it right in the pad thai sauce, and it ends up being perfectly silky and beautiful every single time. So we're just going to toss that around for a few minutes until the noodles start getting soft. Then we're going to just start adding our other ingredients. The whole thing comes together in only a few minutes. That's why you really want to make sure that you have all of your ingredients ready before you start cooking. And so you'll see as what's starting to happen is the noodles are cooking and soaking up this beautiful tamarind sauce, and it smells really good in here. I can smell the fish sauce, I can smell the garlic, I can even smell the tamarind, I think, because that fruity smell is really coming through. Okay. Once you feel like the noodles have started to soften, and they do actually kind of shrink when they're starting to soften, and this is going to take a different amount of time depending on the brand of noodles, how long you soak them for, etc. We're going to add our tofu, we are going to add our shrimp, we're going to add our egg, we are going to add half of our peanuts, so a 1/4 cup of peanuts, half of our green onions, and then we're going to stir that all together to heat it up, and it should be done pretty quickly. Now, this is where sometimes the extra water comes in handy. You can hear that sizzle. So now what we're trying to do is just mix everything together, make sure the noodles are nicely cooked, and you want to make sure that if the shrimp and the tofu have cooled down at all, that they have a chance to reheat. The other thing we need to add is some bean sprouts. So we add a couple of cups of bean sprouts. We're going to save some for garnish as well. Okay, our pad thai is done. Now we are going to use tongs for the rest of this. Now we are going to dump it onto our large platter. Okay. And then we are going to start garnishing this beautiful thing. Okay, so we got to make it look super nice. We're going to add extra peanuts all over it. In Thailand, often this is put on the side of the dish, but I just really like peanuts, so we're putting it on. Then we're going to put extra green onions. Again, this is often put on the side. Then we need our chopped cilantro, about half a cup. Then we are going to do some, this is totally not traditional, but I just think it looks really pretty. Just a few little bean sprouts on the top like that. All right, and then we finally have to put some lime wedges all over this. Isn't this looking so spectacular? It smells really good in here. I wish you could be in here with me, but hopefully you'll be inspired to make it now. So there you go. You can get all these ingredients at the supermarket to make an authentic pad thai. There you have it, Juicy shrimp, tender noodles, that perfect balance of sweet, salty, and tangy, just the right kick of heat. This homemade pad thai is bursting with flavor in every bite.
From the plate to the pour, don't miss the perfect Liquor Plus pairing. Up next.
Pairings are brought to you by Liquor Plus. Discover the plus.
This shrimp pad thai is firing on all flavor cylinders. It's sweet, salty, tangy, with just the right amount of spice. So what do you pair with a dish like this? Well, I've got just the expert for that. Shannon is back again from Liquor Plus, and she's brought along the perfect match to complement every bite. Welcome, Shannon.
Hi, nice to see you. So rosé.
Rosé all day.
Rosé not just for summer, for all times of the season.
Okay.
So pad thai, fresh, a little bit spicy. We want to pour something that has a little bit of sweetness with it.
Okay.
So rosé, so this is a Pinot Noir Zweigelt blend.
Okay.
Which is a little unique for rosé. Zweigelt, I really like it. It's very aromatic.
Yeah,
it's very
I
fruit forward.
could smell it from like even way before I brought it to my nose.
It gives it a little more complexity, a little bit more body, but it would just be perfect with this.
Okay,
Cheers.
Cheers. That's very good. That's very good.
So Mount Boucherie is kind of a household name with wineries in BC. They've been around for a long time. Make a lot of different kinds of wines, as you can see here, but their rosé is always like a staple.
Okay. Well, let's just, the next test is to try it with pad thai.
Okay.
I just want to make a note, most Thais eat with spoons except for noodles, they eat with chopsticks.
Okay, we'll try the chopsticks then.
Try the chopstick. It's so good.
You know, I think I'm good with chopsticks, but then I'm never taped with chopsticks, so.
I know, that's always the thing. On TV with chopsticks. Okay, I gotta try it. With the, what do you think though?
Good. Fresh. I like the noodles are still like a bit like
Firm?
al dente.
Al dente, exactly. They're not mushy. That's what we're going for. Yeah.
Little fruit,
Yeah.
like little spice.
Like once again, like your comment about how wine is a condiment to the food. Sometimes I feel like the food is a condiment to the wine too. Like they
Yeah, a little
play on
bit.
each other, you know?
But I think that's why we talk about like wine as like a pairing,
Yeah.
right? We really do think about like beverage as a condiment, really, you know?
No, it's awesome. Well, thank you so much. This pairing really surprised me actually. I wouldn't have thought to pair rosé with pad thai, but the flavor combos are really good. They kind of brought the best out in each other.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah, thanks
for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much. And thank you for joining me in the kitchen. Until next time, keep cooking, keep exploring. I'm Chef Heidi Fink. The more you learn, the better it tastes.
So I really like the pomegranate juice.
Yeah, the pomegranate juice tip.
In lieu of the
in lieu of the tamarind. 'Cause
of the
sometimes you
tamarind.
can't find tamarind.
No.
Or people don't know what it is.
Or they don't know what it is. That's great. So there's tofu in
Yeah,
there too.
tofu. Pad thai always has all the protein. Tofu, nuts, eggs, shrimp. Yeah.
And then you pan fry it.
No,
First?
I roast it in the oven because then it doesn't
Oh.
fall apart or stick to the pan.
That's a good tip.
Yeah.